money to crypto, you can use OneRamp. You want crypto to mobile money, you can use OneRamp. Basically, I've had a lot of conversations, like I've been following up by you guys, and I think you should really build, because actually for you that you're talking about the product that you're building and it doesn't have like a monetary goal, I think you should build anyway, because along the way as you keep building, one thing that I've discovered is, because I used to ask myself, when you look into maybe on Twitter, maybe on YouTube, and you see someone comes up with a very, very good solution, and you're like, why didn't I think about that? Like they say, where do these people get these ideas? And the reason why they get these ideas, to me, in my opinion, I think they come from building. You get, and it is where, and it's how we got the idea of OneRamp. So it was a fun project. We were like, okay, let's see, can we program Bitcoin? Like, can we build on Lightning? Can we see if we could build Bitcoin but for mobile money? And as we built that, we stumbled upon another issue. We're like, oh, okay, instead of building with Bitcoin, there is this issue, and you build a solution around that issue. And then as you build, you realize that, okay, I'm building this application, but my users cannot be able to use it. Most people are using mobile money. They do not know how to get, STRK. They do not know how to get Ethereum. How can I build something like that? And it comes from the idea of building. Because so even if you have a project that it doesn't have a monetary goal, I think it's a very, very important thing that you keep pushing with it, because I believe that as you keep on solving the problem, you're going to get an idea. I really envy people who are building on Starknet because I think it's one of the biggest technologies that is amazing, and it's early, and a lot of developers run away from Starknet. I do not know why. I think they have this connotation of like, oh, it's very complicated. So, and for me, in my opinion, I think that when people are running away from a solution, when people are running away, a lot of people are running away from a technology, I think of it like as an opportunity for, if you go hard on it and become good at it, then the noise is very easy to stand out. So I think if you bet yourself on Starknet and Cairo, and you are going to be ahead of the curve very, very soon, because I think, when Web3 came through, the standard was Solidity, the standard was, smart contracts with Solidity. And as we have picked, I think now the roadmap is starting to look into Rust and, these Rust chain developers, because I think most of the top chains are going to be Rust. So if you can position yourself with Starknet, you are very, very. I think you're in the best position, in my opinion. So yeah, I really envy people who started with blockchain on Rust and Starknet. You guys I think you're in the best position. Yeah, so yeah, I think you should keep building. I think don't shelve those projects. I think one of the things that we always do is you build and then you leave it on localhost and then you jump onto another one, which is fine, but I think it's important to keep pushing that one project. Focus on it, learn a lot, and then keep on pushing and fine-tune it. Eventually you get the business model along the way. I strongly believe it will happen, and I think that's how we came up with the idea of OneRamp. It started as from Bitcoin, then it evolved, and then it evolved to off-ramp, then it evolved, to the point where you feel like, okay, now this is the direction that I want to take. So something that I don't think we would come up with from day one. And wake up in the morning, I'm like, yes, I want to build this off-ramp solution. Boom, get your code and do it. I don't think it would have happened, but it it comes as a gradual process. I think you're in the best position. Like bet your year like 2025 is my year for us, and I think it's something that is going to be very important for the blockchain space. Rust, Cairo, I think it's the future. I think you guys remember when, and I'm talking to Vianney and you, Joseph. I think we remember when we had got into Web3, there was a lot of noise, There was a lot of noise and the roadmap was not clear. Someone is pulling your shirt in NFTs, real estate, someone is pushing in, talking, and it was a lot of noise, And we kept on jumping from this to this to this to this to this. I remember I wasted a lot of time in NFTs. I knew I didn't like NFTs. Honestly, for me, I've never been a fan of NFTs.
Yeah.
But I wasted a lot of time in NFTs because there was a lot of noise around NFTs and I didn't want to miss out. You get, so conversations like from someone that was ahead of me and telling me, hey, don't do this, maybe build something like this. I think they would have been very, very helpful for me without even wasting a lot of time. So yeah, I think conversations like this are very important. And the people who knew this stuff were they were nowhere to find,
That's right. There was no clear path.
Yeah, and there were faceless people on Twitter. Like someone will tell you, like, do you know this guy? And you look at his Twitter, it is a faceless account. He barely tweets, and you know that when you send him a message, he will see it next month. You get, and these are the people who are very smart that you would really want to interact with. So it was very difficult to navigate. It was very difficult. Yes, it's still very difficult right now, but at least here you can define a clear path and say, okay, I see this. I see now there is a trend in stablecoins. I see payments. I can stick to that. When I say, okay, I'm looking at security. I'm seeing now. It's very easy now to look at a field and go, yeah, someone is focusing on infrastructure, and you see they're going to go that side. Someone is focusing on security, and they are going that side. Someone is focusing on payments. Someone is focusing on tokenization. It's very easy to see the clear path because you can see projects that are coming up. You can see the future. Back in the day, it was everything was around the place. So yeah, I really, really think conversations like this are very important. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jovan. Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, sometimes as a builder, you really need to hear it all from someone who has built. It's very easy for us to get demotivated, and yeah, you are learning this, you are learning that, but you don't know what can I even do with what I've attained. So listening for someone who has really built something and it's generating them money, it's really good and it's super awesome. Maybe can you tell us just about your journey with Starknet so far? How any developments, like just inspire us to build on Starknet. I know you've been a grant recipient, yeah, that one I know, but just tell us.
Oh yeah, Starknet. Actually, funny story. I did not know about Starknet since I think I knew about Starknet like 2 years back. I didn't know anything about Starknet, but I think this is going to go back to what I was saying is you need to build something. You get Starknet approached us like real time. They approached us and they're like, hey, would you like to bring your solution on our side? And you're like, okay, what is this? So it's important to build, you get. And I think if you have a solution, if you're building for the real market, because you need to position yourself in a way that you're building for the people. You're building for adoption, you get. So I remember one thing when I was talking with Vianney, and he was telling me like, hey, when you're specializing about a chain, you need to understand what a chain wants. You get, understand what that chain wants, and and I think what he meant by that is when you see a chain, for example, like Starknet, look at what Starknet is pushing. Are they pushing payments? Are they pushing gaming? You get? Are they pushing NFTs? I know a lot of chains have a lot of stuff around them, but most of them have that one thing that they are focusing on. You get? So when you understand that and see, and you're like, okay, I'm looking at Starknet, it's really, really pushing staking. What can I build with staking? This is how you come up with a very good idea. So you look into staking. Okay, I do not know anything about staking. What is staking? So I go under the rabbit hole of staking. You look at Starknet staking. You go around with the applications that are built on top of Starknet. Download their wallet. The good thing with Web3 is you can even use testnet to play around with their applications without even using real money. So go to these applications, play around with these, understand how staking is. So when you do that, come back to Starknet and see how can I build an application that leverages staking. And when you build around that, then you can come up with an idea. So that is when you understand what a chain wants. So going back to the OneRamp thing, when we were built OneRamp and we were focusing on payments and bridging the gap between Africa and on-chain. So, and Starknet was an industry that really wanted to penetrate into Africa, and I think that was last year. So they were really wanting to see how they could penetrate Africa. And as we have talked about, our financial system is very different with how theirs work. Ours, we have a lot of unbanked people. People don't have bank accounts. People trust cash a lot. So, and they came looking for projects that were really, really positioned in a way that they can have Starknet onboarded very, very quickly. And good enough, so we had Starknet, but it was something that we had put there. So I think initially we were looking for chains that are very cheap, and we were like, let's put Starknet. You never know, we may find someone who uses the transaction of Starknet and did it, and goes. We didn't expect a lot of traffic from Starknet. So when Starknet was going through Twitter for Uganda and Twitter maybe for Africa, they landed upon us. And I think this takes me to a very, very important part of your journey as you're building. I would really, really, really beg you guys to always document on what you're building. If you can, please get onto Twitter. Don't build alone. Get onto Twitter. Try to document what you're building. If you have a bug, talk about it. So that is how Starknet found us. So we had made a very nice announcement about Starknet. We were documenting about Starknet on our Twitter, and we had written a very nice blog announcing how we had added Starknet, and the reason why we had added Starknet of how fast it was, how cheap it was, and how it's going to integrate with mobile money. Mobile money is very fast, and we need a chain that is very fast. Everything was there. So when Starknet came through and they were looking for a very quick solution, most of the big players weren't already adding Starknet, because one thing, Starknet is very different. Like, I know you guys really know that it's very different from Ethereum. It's very different from these other chains. So it has its own world, and a lot of these other chains that I'm talking about, the Binances, I'm talking about the yellow cards, the Paychans. They were chains that were like, Starknet doesn't have liquidity, it doesn't have a lot of transactions in Africa, we'll think about it. So they knew they needed to get someone that is there. So I would really recommend you guys position yourself, and that is through going through our Twitter. They saw, they're like, okay, these guys are ready, and they're like, okay, what can we do to help you? So, and just like that, we had a handshake with Starknet, and I think we've gotten 3 grants from Starknet. The first one was from Starkware, the second one from Nethermind Starknet, and the last one was from Starknet Grant Protocol. So I'd really recommend you guys to build and understand the chain. So the good thing that you are in the space, you are with this community, I would recommend you to go through the chain, understand how good it was, or how good it is. Is it payments? Is it fast transactions? What new thing has popped up? So I'm looking at a new thing that Starknet is doing about scaling Bitcoin. That is a very, very good opportunity that you can go and jump in, because not very many people are building on top of it. And Starknet, as it's Starknet, it's still researching on that solution. Of course, these chains are building these very nice solutions to solve problems and to improve software. But they themselves, I really believe they do not know a use case right now. That's the beauty about Web3, is everyone is learning on the job. So if you can jump in right now and dissect every field about that, and then you come up with a very nice solution about how Starknet is scaling Bitcoin, and maybe build a solution around that, trust me, it's very, very easy to stand out, and your solution will be up there. And that is why I really love Web3 because it's very, very easy to get your eyes. It's very, very easy to get support, even from Africa. I don't know how many Web3, Web2 companies in Africa that raise good money without having a lot of questions. I know some are there, but at the end of the day, when you dissect, you'll find that there is someone from Silicon Valley on the team that pitched in an envelope, and then they recognized you. But in Web3, it's not there. When you have a solution, and they're going to ask you, hey, how can we help you? What do you need? Do you need advice? This is what you need. Your solution needs what? You don't have a budget for marketing. We can help you with that. You don't have a budget for infrastructure. We can help you with that. And everything just settles right there. So I really, really recommend you to understand the chain, look at the trends around that chain, and build a solution around that chain. And I think there's no way you can miss out. I think the cards are there on the table. It's just come and pick up and put everything together, and because right now I think building a solution now, we've moved off from the days of Facebook where you would have a solution and it will go viral and everyone is there working and everyone is getting onto it because it's a new thing. Right now I think you need like budgets, you need support, you need marketing. You need to have money up front to get it off the ground, unless it's a groundbreaking project like maybe OpenAI and stuff. But something from scratch, you need a big budget to get it off the ground. And I think that big budget can come from Web3. You get, and these chains are here to support you. Starknet has grants almost every year. Every month there's a grant. And I'm not even talking about the proposals that people are writing each and every day, just to incentivize you to build. So these opportunities are there for you. I think the only thing that is standing in between you and them is you building, honestly. Yeah.
Maybe Jovan. Jovan, I know your project has sprung now about more than 3 countries. So, what's your users like? What is your user base like now?
Our users, so we are in Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, and Zambia, and then Central African Republic. But I think it's really promising in a way. I'm talking in general into Africa, because one of the things that people keep on saying, like, hey, Web3 is very new, people don't understand this technology. I strongly believe that is not true, because one of the things in Africa, one of the biggest companies in Africa is, you look into them and you'll find that there is payments involved. So I think when you're building a solution right now and it has payments with Web3, there's a very good opportunity that it's going to work. People are going to use the payments, because like I said, our financial system needs to be fixed. And when you build on top of payments, it's another opportunity to win with that. So on terms of the OneRamp user base, people really, really do send money in a way that I didn't expect. Because we kept on saying, hey, people are unbanked, people don't know how to use technology. I think you would be really, really surprised if you really believe me. You'll really, really, really be surprised. And the moment you position your solution in a way that it's very easy, it's very familiar to Web 2. Someone uses your application in a way that they would use a Web 2 application, then that's useful enough. At the end of the day, people want to send money and they want their grandmother to get it. You get, right. And that is the evident way that we've seen on OneRamp in terms of on the transactions that come through. We have people that even use the payments and they even do not know that they are using the blockchain. You get, someone comes and does a transaction and they're like, hey, my transaction is stuck. What can I do? And you tell them, okay, please send your transaction hash. And they're like, what is a transaction hash? What are you talking about? And you explain to them, okay, the transaction hash, go and copy that, and then you help them, and like, oh, thank God. But that person has interacted with the blockchain and they don't care. They even don't know that they're transacted with the blockchain. The only thing they are seeing is that, man, it's very cheap to send this money, and it's very fast. I do not sign papers, I do not sign anything. I just send and it goes through, and that is all they care about. And yeah, based on that, I think that's one of the main factor around with the OneRamp user base. Majority of the users of OneRamp are not very crypto savvy. They're people who are just funny, like using enough. They just want a solution to go through. They want to send their money and do other things. The thing about OneRamp is we built it in a way that it can be integrated with a lot of other applications. So it can be used into Agent Wallet, it can be used into Bravos, it can be used into MiniPay, it can be used into any other wallet. So it's very easy to strike partnerships with these wallet providers, and then you can tap into the user base. So most of the transactions and the numbers that we are getting, they are coming from this partner user base. So when we're integrated in Agent, we have a tapping of users in Nigeria that are using Agent and they want to OneRamp. So, like I said, it's all about positioning. So yeah, we really have a very nice progress, and I'm very happy about the communities that have pushed OneRamp as a whole. And I think it's very important to have, when you build within a community, it's even better because you have these people who are really pushing your project for you, and it's crazy that you have people who push the project for you without even paying for them, and I think it's one of the most powerful things about building. So yeah, we have really, really have the progress. I think the last time we checked in December, we had made over 120k transactions in volume. So we are anticipating a better number in January, and the progress is there. And this is a project that is still a baby. I don't think we've been around for 8 months, and it has been progressing. So I think the adoption is coming. I really, really encourage you to keep building. There's no way you can mess it up.
So what is, Jovan, maybe in your last remarks, what is your best advice? Because I know you are a technical founder. I know you are this guy who goes down and sits on a computer and then you write code. So yeah, as I've really experienced this at my early stages in development, that it's very easy to not have the focus. There is always this temptation of building one product and then you don't push it, and then grab another and then you stop there. So what's the best advice, for a person who is builder centric, but when they're a builder, but they really as well want to make money, they want to scale a product? So what is there's always that virus which where we tend as builders to first work on a project, then a few months in, then grab another. So maybe you've overcome that. That's why OneRamp is doing so well. So any last remarks for us?
Wow, that's a very, very good question. Actually, man, thanks for asking that. Uh, you know, I think everyone has their strengths, and when we talk about building, I don't think everyone should build solo, because when you build solo, man, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I was lucky enough that my co-founder was really, really good in these things of engagement. He had a very good network base. He had a very good circle. That's something that I didn't have. So even you within the community, I think it's very easy. It's very, very important to identify each other's strengths, and it's easier when you are working 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, and put the energy together. I think you get very, very far very easily. That's why I don't think Web3 is only for builders. I don't think everyone is supposed to write code. Because if everyone is writing code, then who's going to be the technical writer? Who's going to explain these things to the user? Who's going to get the user feedback? Who's going to do the marketing? Who's going to do the content? So if you're doing it solo, you can do it solo, which is okay. But I think for me on my side, I'm not a very good guy with social marketing and engagement. I think I'm the worst at that. So I found someone, my co-founder is very, very good with that. He's good with engagement. He's good with writing pitch decks. He's good with writing proposals. I think it's very, very important right from day one to find someone, to help you with the other field. You engage with them, they push you through that. The other thing about jumping onto projects, I believe I've really come up with a very, very funny conclusion about jumping within projects. Fun fact: I haven't overcome that. I still find myself jumping from project to project. But I think now it's less chaotic, because it's very easy when you do it. When you're alone, it's very easy to jump from project to project, because, man, what are the stakes? It's you alone, and when you get a bored of a project, you jump onto another one. But I think when you have a co-founder, maybe when you have a good team, I think there's a way it triggers your mind to understand that, hey, I have these people that are relying on me, and I'm relying on them. I need to make this work. There's a way it gives you that accountability, and you understand that, hey, we are in this together, and we need to push it together. So that's why I really recommend you to, find a good team, find a good co-founder, find someone. You could have different skills. I think I would recommend that if you could have different skills and team up, it will be very, very easy. Yeah, jumping from project to project, I still have that. I'm still fighting with that, but the good thing I have a team around me, and it's something that I can't do chaotic, because I know we are in this together, and we need to push it together. Yeah.
Wow. So thank you so much, Jovan. Any last words for someone focusing on Starknet?
Last words. I think it's keep going. It's keep going and keep it strange. I think there is light at the end of the tunnel. Starknet is a very good chain, and it's betting a lot on Africa. A lot. So if you can position yourself in the right way, there's no way you can mess it up. Get the opportunities there. Just keep going. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Jovan. A round of applause for that. It's really good to hear such from an experienced builder, and yeah, everyone as in their various discipline, you always want to hear it from a person who has walked the same journey. So that's pretty awesome. I do appreciate, and I appreciate your engagement in the community. Yes, Keith, you want to raise something?
Yeah, briefly, I have a small question.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead and
Hello?
ask the question. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, thank you. I would like to know, could Mr. Jovan give us a time frame? Like in
But I
how
will do
much
1 hour.
time did he get to
Yeah.
self-sustenance, like the project? Did he mention its name as OneRamp? Yes, like when did he start and when was he good to go? Okay, I want to, I'm using that as a comparison to myself. However, thank you so much, Mr. Jovan. It's really, really insightful, yeah, and inspiring.
In terms of, because it has really evolved a lot as OneRamp. Like I said, we didn't start from an idea like, hey, let's build this and let's build it for 6 months and let's launch it and let's market it. No, it really evolves. I think it started with an application, right, called Shokoro. So we started as Shokoro, then we stripped off Shokoro. Shokoro was like an application that allowed on ramping. It had a walleting system. It had a bills, like you could buy bills with electricity and with crypto. And then we realized that, hey, okay, we need to have a way of people putting their mobile money into Shokoro, and we had built an API that allows you to do that. So we separated the API service from Shokoro, and then it became OneRamp. So when it became OneRamp, I think that was like 2 months in, 2 to 3 months in. From OneRamp, then it kept on evolving. From there, I think it had what? It had links, and then it kept on evolving as we kept on, like I said, it kept on refining the business to get it to market ready. So in terms of timeline, I don't think I have a clear timeline, but for it to get to a point where we feel like, okay, now this can be a good startup, this can be a good business, I would say it took us like 4 months to five, to a point where we feel like, okay, now we can hire someone to help us. We can scale it. We need more servers. We need security in the back end. We need that. Yeah, but I don't think it was something that we had thought about that from day one. It kept on evolving. Like I said, you keep on building and you learn about the business, then you pivot, then you scale and do the other things. I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, yes, Jovan, you've definitely answered this question. I think he has gotten an internet issue. Uh, and before we head into the technical bit of our session, any other questions for Jovan? Johnson, do you have any question? Or Diana, you can raise your question, guys. It's pretty amazing. Yes, Keith, did you hear what Jovan said? Were you able to pick something?
Yeah, I think I'll just stop the recording, but I got the evolution part and not having a systematic timeline. It's just evolution. Thank you so much. That's sufficient. Thank you.
Diana, any questions for Jovan? Oh, Johnson. Okay. Okay, Johnson. Okay, Diana. Johnson, any question? You raised your hand.
I've heard about that whole story of OneRamp and man. It's really inspiring because it shows that to come up with something you just one day of dreaming, putting in the work. So my question was, okay, regarding OneRamp, like, did you guys just build that thing basically? Okay, yes, the idea can be there, but was it built as a combination of different efforts, or it was just like one person's general act, like sitting down and putting in all the work alone? So, and also, if now, for example, me who is starting and trying to come up with also something that I want to build on chain, how am I going to have to build this thing like basically on my own, or is it or I can pick up something that has already built up and just add it?
Okay, thank you. I don't know if I've gotten your questions, but I think they are somehow interlinked. If I don't answer it very well, you can let me know. Initially, the good thing that with me and my co-founder is both of us are technical. Both of us can write code and both of us, can push through code. But the other thing that happened in the early days, we kept on looking for hackathons. So we had these speedrun hackathons that Selo used to organize, and my co-founder was very good with smart contracts, and was very good with front end. So if you know what hackathons are, they give you this short deadline where you need to build very fast and then you submit. So we would join hands. Maybe he would do the smart contracts and I'll do the UI, and then we submit. If we have good time, I could build my product, and then he also builds his product, and then we submit all at once. So the merger through OneRamp, it came in a way like, okay, we need to write grants, we need to write proposals, we need to travel, we need to talk about the project more, and that's where having a good co-founder is really, really helps, because one, it eases the pressure on you as a developer, whereby you feel like, okay, let me build, and the other person of yours can keep on writing grants, can keep on writing these proposals. So yeah, it didn't come away like, oh, someone is coding all alone and stuff. No, it came initially as, okay, let me handle the development side of it all, as you handle the other side of management and issues and stuff like that. That's why I say it's very, very important to have a co-founder, because I think it will help you in the long run. Unless you have money to hire, where you need to have hiring, and hiring is also another issue. You need to go through interviewing, you need to look for a good candidate, you need to pay them a lot of money, which you can do, but I would really recommend if you can have a co-founder very early, it really, really save you a lot of that issue. Yeah. The second question, I don't know if I've answered it.
What was the second question, Johnson?
I need to diversify and have a lot of cards that I can look into to add up to build a product fully. So I wanted to know, like, okay, besides just having the idea, like, what exactly am I supposed to look into, like the crucial technologies or crucial tools that I'm supposed to apply while coming up with it?
The issue about diversifying is sexy on the ears in a way, because you're cutting across the field. But I wish I knew about that early on. If I knew about that, I wouldn't have diversified. Because one thing that happens with diversifying is you're not getting the real content. You're not getting the real fundamentals right from the get-go. Because every chain is different. They are similar, but every chain is different, and every chain does this something in a different way. You get. So if you do Starknet, and then you jump into Polkadot, and you jump into Ethereum, it's good. You have it on your resume. It looks nice, but at the end of the day, you're not getting the core about that. So my advice to you will be is all these chains are different, but they are similar. I don't know if that makes sense. Like at the end of the day, they are all doing the same thing. At the end of the day, when you go through Starknet and you open all the papers, and you read all these white papers, at the end of the day, they're all standing on the same principles and cores. It's consensus. It does that. It's similar. So if you can focus on a chain like Starknet and learn it very, very well to the point that you can open, its in and out with confidence, you are very set. Because I think if you know Starknet, you can walk into anything. You can walk into Polkadot, you can walk into Ethereum, because you really have the fundamentals of Starknet nailed properly. I wish I knew I had known that. What I know, I would have known like a few months back, because specializing is key. Specializing is key. In a field where everyone, like I said, Web3 has a lot of noise, it has a lot of distractions. Everyone is not specializing. Someone is learning 20% of Starknet, and then they learn 10% of Polkadot, and then they learn 5% of Ethereum, and then they learn 1% of Cosmos. Everyone is jumping around, and this is why most of these chains are lacking engineers and developers, because people have 10% of the knowledge. So if you can specialize on a chain and learn that chain very, very well, there is no way you are not going to make it in that chain there's no way you're not going to make it out, without winning. Like I said, every chain has similarities. You can still get a very, very good business idea on Starknet alone. We've seen a lot of projects that are built on one chain like this without even jumping to Ethereum, but it's all stationed on one chain, and it's enough. You get this. These chains have a lot of money, and they have a lot of opportunity. Like even if you have one solution like this on one chain, most of the time is enough. So I would really, really recommend you to specialize. Don't over. Yes, you can experiment around, but try to first get the fundamentals right in one place. I know it can get boring when you are learning the same thing over and over and over again, but if you can nail the fundamentals right, yeah, man, you'll be set. You'll be set for anything.
Yeah, another question from Diana, then we shall be good to go. Diana, your hand is raised.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you, Jovan, for your presentation. It was wonderful. I just have two questions. They're not really technical. I hope they're not really answered because I joined late. But I just wanted to ask, how long did it take you from the point of commencement of your startup to you landing funding? What was the period? And yeah, and the other question is how did you guys go around the regulations surrounding crypto as a proper form of financial implementation in Uganda? Because we've been hearing about all these regulations that are here and maybe in countries that are prospering in the crypto space. How did you guys go around that? Thank you.
Oh, yeah, those are very good questions. The first question is about the funding. The good thing about Web3 is you can build as you're funded. You get, so when we were building OneRamp initially, we didn't think about getting funding tomorrow or getting funding next month. We were just pushing through hackathons. So we'd find a hackathon and they want, they have this category of maybe payments in Africa, and we'll build on top of that and we'll submit, and then we win some money. So I think you know what hackathons are. So yeah, we were just chasing these hackathons, and the thing about that is we were making money. We would win some money, and then we would pay for hosting, we would pay for domains, we would pay for services, and then we push on to the other hackathon that kept on coming. So through that, and hackathons, we kept on aiming higher and higher, to the point that, hey, okay, now, so far with what we've built, I think we can qualify for this grant, and you look at the grant and you look at the past recipients, and they are big guys that have won that grant. You're like, okay, let's try it and see. And then you try it and you're like, man, we've been seeing your project in these whole hackathons. So the cool thing about that is participating in a lot of these hackathons gave us a very, very nice portfolio, because one, it showed commitment to these guys, like, hey, okay, these guys are really pushing through. They've been building all these hackathons. It looks like they are really committed in making this a real project, and they put us there. And the other thing they kept on doing is, and the other thing that the hackathons showed to them is, it looked like the project was vetted, because these competitions in hackathons were really judged by very, very smart people and very big guys. So the moment the big guy says, okay, this is a good project, then automatically the quad guy will say, okay, yeah, I'm sure this is a very good project. So, like I said, we kept on improving it, and we'll look at this grant and say, okay, Starknet has a grant coming up in next month or in 2 or 3 months, and it has these tracks, let's build that, let's fine tune that, and then apply. And then when you apply, you get a grant. So it's not clear that it's not that we had on the background like let's build and apply for a grant like this. No, we kept on pushing and advancing to the point that we kept on leveling up. We're like, okay, there's this grant of 5K. You apply for that. If you get it, well and good. If you don't get it, you wait for another one, and then you see another one of 25, and you're like, what does this one want? And you look at what they want, and if you don't have it, then you build it and fine tune it and test it to your users, and then you apply for the grant. You get, and that is one of the things that I'm really, really grateful with Web3 is you can build without even having users. So in those days, it was just a hackathon project. It had 0 users. But these chains were really rewarding us for building. It's like a thank you note, like thank you for building. You get something that I even don't think can ever happen in Web 2. Like someone pays you to build without 0 users. So yeah, the funding came through as we kept on building, kept on leveling up, and we'll try to match what the big grants wanted. So for the second question about regulation is very tight, very, very tight. But the way we approached OneRamp is we didn't build from scratch, because when you still go back at the end of the day, yes, crypto is not regulated, but at the end of the day, Binance still has peer-to-peer. You know, I even didn't know that people still are using Git.io in Kampala, but apparently they do. So Git.io is still, people are doing peer-to-peer, and it's more alive than ever. So what we did, we tried to build a peer-to-peer system, a Binance peer-to-peer system, because for it it's allowed. So we built a Binance peer-to-peer system, but improved it to be better. You get, so we looked at what users were complaining, like, hey, okay, for a new user, navigating Binance, you first have to take a course from a guide to tell you press this, and then you look at the UI, and it's very difficult. So for us, what we did, we're like, let's build a Binance peer-to-peer, but make it very, very easy to the point that you don't have to wait for someone to open an order, and then they ask for your names, and then they ask for your mobile number. Let's build it in a way that someone just enters a phone number, make a payment, and then the money settles on their mobile money. Without that, you get. So I would really recommend you when you're building is look at what is working, look at what is regulated, and then within those guard fences, make it easier, make it simpler, because most of these chains, most of these projects that are hitting that are top notch are still very complicated for the average user. You get, they are regulated, they are in business, they are in market, but they are very, very complicated for the normal user. So go under their wing, look at their business model, look at their UI, look at their flow, look at their user experience, and then make it very, very easy for the normal user to the point that someone that doesn't even know crypto can still, navigate the application without having to think about opening an order, transferring the money from a spot wallet here from a trading thing. You get stuff like that. So that is how we built it. We built it in a way. We built a Binance, but a very easier Binance for the user. So yeah, I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah,
Thank you.
final remarks, Jovan. Yeah, so basing on how you see the trend, we very well know what Starknet is trying to solve. Yeah, is performance and scalability. So for someone who is really investing that time on Cairo and Starknet, what's the best field build? What's the best product, like to leverage the strength of Starknet?
Oh, yeah, I think you've said it. Scalability. I really, really think, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I really, really, really think the Bitcoin things, the scaling Bitcoin thing is going to be hot sauce on the side of Starknet, and also staking, because it's the new thing on Starknet. So, man, if you can build something around that Bitcoin thing and also about staking, I think there's no way you can get it wrong. Personally, I'm also exploring that Bitcoin scaling thing from Starknet. I'm not very, very sure about it, but yeah, I'm trying to navigate it to see if there's something. But I really think Starknet is going to, yeah.
Thank you, Jovan. Yes, Vian, you have a question for Jovan?
First, I wanted to ask, I don't know if it is okay, is if any of you guys have upgradable smart contracts on Starknet. Somebody is eating me up. Like if one of you has a repo with upgradable smart contracts on Starknet.
So you need like to benchmark a smart contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have, but I have to first push it like in a few,
Okay.
maybe after the call or what.
Okay. Then the other thing is, I don't know, probably what you've been talking about, I think, scaling. But Starknet is something else. Like recently, anyway, for me, my interest, I have a lot of interest in infrastructure. But recently, they have you can now build your own Starknet chain. So they have just made it open source. Like you can build your own Starknet chain from Starknet. I don't know. I usually research so much on infrastructure, and it's like they are willing to really support. Starknet supports everywhere.
Yeah, sure. Starknet is really, and as Jovan just reckoned it, that Starknet is really looking at the Africa ecosystem, and yeah, this is the best time to learn Starknet. Yeah, the best investment you can do is to invest in yourself, investing in knowledge. Yeah. So with those few remarks, I think yeah we have enough motivation to learn. Yeah. So if at all you may allow me, I want to jump into any questions before I jump into the tutorial. Any questions? Anything we have left unturned? Francis, do you have any question? Keith, you are asking a question. Can you unmute and ask your question before we jump into testing?
No, I'm not asking anything. I'm just grateful. I don't know how to, but I wanted to give a vote of thanks. I've never done that, so I'll just say thank you to Mr. Jovan. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Jovan, we appreciate the work. Yeah, we as the Starknet community, we are really so grateful. Yeah, we are also coming. We are believing for those grants. Yeah, so guys, we just have to keep building. And one thing that I realize is that the fact is that if at all you have many people who are building products in the ecosystem, that means you can, like, as in when someone has a product, when you come and be like, okay, what is Web3? I will just be like, check out my product, check out OneRamp, yeah? You get, yeah, so it's a direct market, as Jovan said it previously. That is a direct market that you have, that Web3, check out my product, yeah? And there is a lot of scalability, so we are in the best space. Yeah, so let's just continue building. Yeah, thank you so much, Jovan, for those wonderful remarks. Yeah, so today we are going to look into testing smart contracts on Starknet. Yeah, so of course we are still, this is our session 5 of the Build on Starknet Bootcamp. So today we are going to look into testing the smart contracts. The previous session we looked into smart contracts on Starknet. So today we are going to go an extra mile and check how do I test smart contracts in Starknet. Yeah, and we are going to use a tool called Starknet Foundry. So Starknet Foundry is like a framework for writing smart contracts in Starknet. So it's the tool we are going to be using. Yeah, so it's the tool we are going to be using. So Starknet Foundry, once again, is a framework for just the way you say, like how React is for JavaScript. When I want to write a customizable front end, I'll just use either just using React or though back in the days we used to use React. There was another one called Angular. Yeah, but just understand the framework is something which puts in place, so you do something with a lot of ease. Yeah, so it puts a lot together, everything that you need to do to write a smart contract. So that's the same thing with Foundry. So it's called Starknet Foundry, and yeah, so you can just Google it up, Starknet Foundry. The documentation is very clear, very clear. It has the bit of installing on Windows, it has the bit of installing on Linux. So it's very clear, and yeah, for me, I'm a Linux user. For proper installation, you must have Rust installed. Yeah, you must have Rust installed. Just to check whether your Rust is installed, you just hit the command line, and yeah, if at all there is anyone using, but you know the commands are pretty clear. You just hit the command line and put in that command to check whether your Rust is installed. But I know we installed it. Even there is a video on our YouTube playlist for installation of Rust. So besides Rust, you need as well. So the Windows installation is right here. You download the release. You head over to this, and then you download. There is that package. So after downloading it, you extract it. Yeah, so I cannot use Windows because I have Linux installed on mine. So you head over to, you extract it and put it in that location, and then after that, yeah, everything is straightforward. Then you verify whether your scab is installed. Yeah, and then they also have to ensure that you have. Yeah, so to verify whether your Starknet Foundry is installed, you just hit snforge -- version, and then yeah, they give us the common errors, maybe the errors that you find when you have issues with your Rust, and how can you best debug them. Yeah, so everything is pretty clear there for our installation. And if at all you have your machine right there, you can maybe, it's good to do something as well when maybe someone is taking through that topic. So after your installation, so now we're gonna have a kind of a practical implementation. Yeah, so now that is I want to create a new project using Starknet Foundry. Remember, I said Starknet Foundry is a framework. So to check whether Starknet Foundry is installed, I just do snforge. It's snforge version. Yeah, so that's the version I have right there. Yeah. So to create a new project, I will just come right here. I already have this, so you can give your project any name you feel like. For example, let me give mine that session 5. Let me just add here Starknet. So sorry about that. So the command for initiating a new project is snforge init. Snforge init, as you can best see here. Init creates a new directory with the forge project. So I'll come and say snforge init, then the name of the project you want. For example, let me call this one ses5 Starknet. So in a few seconds, my new project is initiated. So now right there I have the right, it's right there. So now I can shift, yeah, and if you have to check out, you can see those are the files. So I'm going to open my VS codes. Yeah, so I'm going to open my VS code. You're welcome, Maxwell. Yeah, Maxwell is one of the people who are following us from Kenya. You're so much welcome. Yeah, so I'm going to open this project in VS Code. To open it in VS Code, you just hit code. So code means it's just an abbreviation for VS Code. Yeah, so let me present. That's my VS Code right here. So these are the files which come along. So I have the lib.cairo file, and I will stress this one more time. The lib.cairo file is just like a driver file. So for every file to run in the compiler, I must have added it. Maybe if at all it's a module, because a module is a file, so I must have imported it in the lib.cairo file. So these are the files which come pre-initiating a new project. And then we have the test contract file. So the test contract file is basically for us to run tests, yeah, but you can clear all this. So it's pretty like similar to when you are initiating a file using scab, initiating a project using scab. So all we are gonna do is we are going to clear this. I don't need it, and then as well I can go ahead and clear this since I don't need it. So similar to how you do it in scab, the scab.tml file is where you put all your dependencies, and you can see right here that the dependency is Starknet. That clearly shows us that we have initiated a Starknet smart contract. Yeah, so we are going to create a simple module. Let me give it a name, counter1.cairo. So counter1.cairo. So that's the module that I've created. It's still brand new. And then guys, I remember telling you that as I said before, that the lib.cairo file is a driver of the whole project. So for every new model that I create, for it to be run on compiling, I have to import it in the lib.cairo file. I want us to understand a module. This is supposed to be under SRC. It's supposed to be under SRC. I want us to understand the module, just like if I told you you've written if I told you are from a Web 2 background, probably I will take Python. What happens is that a module is a file. Yeah, so a module is a file. So if at all I want to import a module, whatever is in in the file, to run it, I have to add it here as a module. And then you just have to call upon the module name. So the module name won't change. So in this call, the module name is counter1. So I'll just add here counter1 module counter1.cairo. So when I do that, no, you don't need to add the .cairo because it's a default extension. Yeah. So now when you do this, by me doing this, I've added whatever is in counter1 in this module right here. I need it to be run. Yeah. So that's what that statement clearly means. That whatever is in counter1, I want it to be run on compiling. Yeah. So that's what that means. So, and then I'll come to counter1. So now this is where I'm going to write my smart contract. So we are going to work with a pretty easy smart contract. Yeah. So we just want to have a counter. Yeah, we just want to have a smart contract where maybe initially I have a number which is 0, and maybe I can increase. Yeah, just something to handle that for us. So that's what I want us to work upon. Any questions at this moment, guys? Any questions? Guys, in case you have a question, you can just type it in the group chat. Or you can just unmute and take over the mic and speak. Yeah, so in the previous session we talked about a Starknet smart contract. So we know at this point we know that a smart contract can have a trait. Yeah. So a trait is just like a blueprint of the functions in our smart contract. So, and how we comment in Cairo, we use the double forward slashes. So trait is just like a blueprint of the functions in the contract. Yeah. And then the module is what contains the traits, the functions, and everything. And so let's create a trait. Yeah, and let's give it any name we give it, it has to start with I, because it means I stands, it's like an interface in Starknet. That's how Starknet recognizes it. And then, so after I counter has to reference the T contract state the T is supposed to be lower caps. Yeah, T contract state, and then so by then we have to tell Starknet, this is just like a syntax to tell Starknet that this is an interface. Yeah, so how we can square brackets, and then we say Starknet, and then you have to add here interface. So by us doing that, it means we've told Starknet now this is a trait. Yeah, it's a blueprint for the functions. So we are going to have two functions in this trait. So we are going to have a set count function, a function that sets the count. Maybe if at all I want to add a number to the current count, then the function to do that, and then I'm going to have a get count, which only retrieves the current count of the current count. So So I'm gonna have a set count method, and we say the set count method is just like similar to the post method in Web 2. So this method, it has to start with the reference keyword. Yeah, it starts with the reference because first of all, it's when I use the reference as the keyword, it means that whatever I'm going to reference is going to be mutable. But when I just use the snapshot, it means whatever I'm going to reference, I'm not going to change anything. But when I use the ref keyword, it means whatever I'm going to reference, I'm going to change the state in it. So it's referencing the T contract state. So the T contract state in this case means the actual state, as I said in our previous session, that the blockchain has a state. Yeah, so the current state can be 0, it can be 1. So when anything is being done on the blockchain, the state changes. So maybe here then I'm going to add, I can add something like increase. Yeah, so but increase, so increase is I'm increasing the count by how many. So this can be, it can as well be a U32-bit integer, because I don't want to increase it by a negative. That's why I use U32. Then the other method is the get count method. So this method, right, is going to retrieve. So I don't need to use the ref because I'm not going to change anything. This role is just to retrieve. So that's why for it I just reference the T contract state. Yeah, and I just only want to retrieve, right? I just only want to retrieve, and what I'm going to retrieve is gonna be the increase. Or let me change this, because increase, because let me give it another value. Let me call this quantity instead of, even you can give it by what amount are you increasing. Let me just call it amount. Yeah, so the get count is going to return from me the amount that is increasing, and since the amount here is a U32, so even here it has to be a U32, just like this, just like that. So those are gonna be our two functions. Then now I have to tell Starknet. Now I have to go ahead and write now my smart contract. I'll write my first contract. I have to tell Starknet, yeah, that this is a smart contract, and to do that I have to follow the correct syntax. So by me writing that statement, it means that I'm declaring this to be a Starknet smart contract. Then I'm gonna give my smart contract a name called counter. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a name called counter. Yeah, and as you can see, it's red highlighting. Yeah, that means it's like, hey, you have an error. So, and to just see the error you're getting, so it's saying you just place your cursor right there, and then it will say your contracts might define a storage struct. Oh yes, we're gonna define the storage struct. So for us to define a storage struct, you just say struct. I will reckon this again, that a storage struct is if at all I have any variables. So anything that I want to store in a blockchain, I remember explaining this clearly in our last session, that anything, for example, if I told you were writing Web 2, yeah, there was a point where you were designing your database, yeah, there was that point. So I want us to understand the same thing to this. So anything that I want to store in my database is what I put in my struct. Yeah, because this is something whatever you put in struct is whatever is gonna be stored on chain. Yeah. Remember, our database right now is everything that you want to store is gonna be stored on chain, on the blockchain. So you must write this wisely, because the more storage variables you have, the more transactional fees you are gonna pay. It's gonna affect your gas fees. Yeah, because every time you're adding a block to the blockchain, it's gonna affect, yeah, the gas fees, which are fees for maintaining the blockchain. Yeah, so you don't necessarily need to store everything, yeah, on chain. Not everything needs to be, because the moment you define it under the storage struct, it means you are telling Starknet, yeah, you are telling a smart contract that, hey, smart contract, I want this to be stored. Yeah, so that's what that means. Yeah, so I can have here my variable called called struct. Yeah, so but how I'm supposed to declare a storage struct, I have to add here Starknet. I have to, this is a syntax. So I have to tell Starknet, hey, right here, this is the storage, these are my storage variables, and whatever that you see here, I want it to be a storage stored in the blockchain. So by me adding that, now you can see it's no longer red highlighting. After I've done that, yeah, so remember, our smart contract, all it's doing is just tracking the count at the moment. Yeah, so and the bigger thing we are tracking right now is just the count, nothing else. Yeah, the only thing we are tracking right now is the count. So we are increasing the count and we are setting a new count. So initially it's a 0. Yeah, so now after writing that, we are gonna go ahead now and define our functions. Yeah? So we are gonna go ahead and define our functions.
Hello, I'm saying, do
Yes.
we need to implicitly state that the count is initially 0?
You don't need to state it to be 0. I hope I've answered that. You don't need to see 0. So now I have to, you remember the trait just gives us the signature of the functions. Yeah? So now I have to go ahead and define the functions. Yeah. So how will we define the functions? So there is a certain name notation that we follow. I want us to understand there are private functions and there are functions which are public. So for example, if at all I have a private function, I cannot be able to import it in another module. But if at all I have a public function, so the name conversion for a public function, it's different from that of a public function. So our name conversion right here is gonna be, so you start with the implement. Impl means implement. Then you come with, it's best to follow the name of the of the module, which is right here, counter, and then you have to add this. I'm gonna break this down for us as we move on. We are going to see an easy way to write, but for now just take this conventionally. So this is a conversion of writing. Then here I also have to add that this is, I have to tell Starknet that these are gonna be public these are gonna be public functions right here. So I have to do that. I have to add this as a command. But hey, I'm telling it have to be public, but I haven't declared the module as public. So I have to declare my module as public, yeah? And to do that, so my function cannot be public if at all I have not declared the module as public. So I want to use public because I can have a case scenario. For example, when I'm writing a test, I'm going to import something from this smart contract. So that's why I'm telling it to be public. But in case I want it to be private, private means that even when you have written, no one can be able to import from your Starknet smart contracts. So then after writing that, you can just go ahead, and because the signature is the same, so I'll just go ahead and call that other function of mine. So what do we want to set as the count? So at this point we want to increment our count, yeah? So we want to increment our count, yeah? But to first increment our count, we have to first get the current count, yeah? So here hopefully at this moment we all know that the T contract state, as I said, it means the blockchain is a state, and it can, every time you add something, you have a new state, yeah? So right here, I'm going to, when I say self, it means now I'm talking. It's just like how you are writing Python. When you are writing a class, if at all you wanted to get the property in the class, you have to use self, yeah? So when I say self, and then to get the count, this count here, yeah, I have to say self dot get. So this is self dot get count, but get count is a method which I'm going to write, yeah? I remember when I was saying that the get count is going to get me the current count, yeah? Actually, it would be better for me to first start with the get count method. So let me start with the method here. So the signature, all it's doing is returning returning this count. So the get count, all it's doing is returning the current count as per the blockchain. Yeah, so how do I return the count? So this is the U32. So for me to return the count is a matter of saying self, yeah, self dot this count, and then for me to return something, I just use the read method, yeah? It's a default method in Starknet, self dot count dot read. Now guys, you can see that this get count method, let me add here. I was like method returns the current count, yeah? So this get count method, all it does is to return this count right here. So after getting that, now if at all I want to set a new count, all I need to do is to first get the current count, yeah? It's by using this get count method. Then after doing that, I have to add and for me to add anything, I use the write method. So the read method is for retrieving, and then the write method, yeah, is for adding, yeah? to the current count, which is here. We have said current count is a variable which is returning me the count as per the blockchain right now. Now for me to add anything, I have to first get this current count, yeah, and then I add 1. I don't need to add 1 actually. It's not 1. I'm adding because I'm not, when I say 1, it means I've fixed my whatever I'm adding. I just need to add the amount. Guys, any questions at that moment? Any questions before I leave that bit, guys? Okay, it seems we are grasping things. So, okay, my compiler is complaining, saying here, parameter type of is incompatible with iCounter get count expected. So let me see how my get count looks like. Self at t contract state. Yeah. So they're saying consider adding type annotations or implicitly refer to the implement functions. Okay. What am I? No, there's nothing I'm doing wrong right here. Okay. Ambiguous more than one applicable trait function with a suitable self type as found. Okay, consider, you're telling me to consider adding. Okay, guys, it's very good for you to take note of the errors that you're getting. So I'm having an error right here and I'm trying to debug it. So my get count, it references the self and it's returning a U32, yeah, and it's returning self.count.read, yeah, that's right, and then my set count method is referencing self, t contract state, and then the amount. Oh, I think I found the error. So the current count is supposed, I didn't give it a type notation, so it's supposed to have a type notation because the current count, because it's gonna
look for the underscore.
Yeah,
The underscore, because on 932,
yeah,
you have it as current count with an underscore plus amount. Then on 931, it doesn't have the underscore.
but it is an underscore here. Are you meaning this? Is that what you're meaning?
Yes, by comparison between line 31 and 32.
So what am I doing wrong? I haven't added an underscore.
I think it's okay, sorry.
Okay, let me remove the underscore. Let me just do this. So I've added, I was supposed to first have added a type. Now I've added my type right there. So then I come and say self.count .write okay, self.count.write. Let me remove this underscore. Current count, which is this, it's a U32, and then plus amount. Yeah. So my error is more than one applicable trait function with a suitable self type was. Okay, I know I'm gonna. Any other error you guys are seeing? So my signature has an amount, which is a U32. Yeah, which is right. Let me do this. Just a minute. So what was I doing wrong? Because now the errors go away. Yeah, I think this is how it's supposed to be. Yes, I don't. Oh, okay. I still have a red highlight here. What is it saying? Okay. It's not good to leave any errors unturned. Okay. I believe now it's supposed to run properly without any errors. My compiler is still complaining that I have an error right here. It's saying get count is incompatible with iCounter get count expected, and it's telling me that I'm missing something. So this is my get count. It takes in a self and returns in a U32. My get count here, it takes in a self and returns a U32. Okay, and I'm gonna figure it out. This is the point where which software engineers don't like debugging. So okay. This is pretty fine. Let me first check at the embed. So the embed is what this syntax right here is what. So now it's very okay. I think it was the compiler, the IntelliSense is what had issues. So sometimes the extension that you use can mean to become a problem. Yeah, so guys, now that is my smart contract. So all it does is tracking the count. It's tracking our count. Oh, that's all it's doing. So then now we are gonna write our tests right here. So when you're writing a test, you have to mind the name conversion of your test. Yeah, so it's good to you have to start with the test keyword, and then the name of the file. So it's good to have test one independent test per module. Yeah, so it's good to have an independent test per module. So for example, if I have 5 modules, it's good for me if at all I have 5 files which are testing specifically those modules. So testing is very crucial in software development, because no one wants to have a user where a user is using your product and then after that they are complaining that, hey, your product is over crashing. So no one wants to have that sort of a user. So the testing convention in Starknet is pretty easy. So let me first write this code. So we are using Starknet Foundry, and like SN4G is like a tool manager for Starknet Foundry. So when I say, if at all you've written some C++, there is that point whereby you had to import from the standard library, and it was std. Maybe if at all you wanted to use an output in a file, you could say std out. So this is the same case right here. So we want to import something from we want to import some functions from the standard library of Starknet Foundry. So we want to import declare. So we are going to use this in testing, and then as well we are going to import declare result. All these come in handy when you are testing. Yeah. So now the std, nothing so complicated. Std is just like SN4G it's just like saying I want to import from the standard library of Starknet Foundry, import for me this. That's what it means. Then also now here I have to come and tell Starknet that from Starknet, yeah, now import for me. Guys, it's just all these are available in Starknet. It's just like when you are writing maybe Python, there were always those packages that were already being done for you. So for example, the OS module in Python, you didn't need to write the whole of it, you just had to import it. Yeah. So I'm importing my contract address. So the contract address helps us in case we want to deal with wallet addresses. Yeah. So then also we may need to now from this project structure here. Yeah. From the project structure, so I have to start with the project directory name. It says 5 Starknet. Yeah. What do I want to import from there? I want to import counter1. Counter1 is this module here. Yeah. Now from within the module, what do I want to import? Guys, I want you to take keen notice of how I'm saying from the project directory, sys5 is the name of the project, sys5 Starknet. From this I want to import the trait, and then I want to import the smart contract. And then this is here where I'm gonna bring in a new concept. It's called dispatchers. So dispatchers come in handy in case I want to use something in one smart contract into another. So in this case, I want to import this. I want to import the counter, and I want to import this and I want to import the trait. Yeah. And then I want to import the smart contract. So that's where the dispatchers come in. Yeah. And so let me go back to my test here. So when I want to import those, I have to, a dispatcher is added by default to whatever is from the module. So my I counter is this. So I'm calling it as a dispatcher. And also from it I have a trait. I've made a mistake right here. This is supposed to be so guys, this is the dispatcher bit. You are saying is just you are saying is just as I explained in a few minutes back, that a dispatcher just helps us when we want to get things, yeah. And maybe when I'm testing, it comes in handy when I'm testing and I want to test something from the trait and from the module name. So in this case, this is our trait, yeah. So I counter dispatcher trait, and then this where is this? Yeah, this, the counter, the smart contract itself. So nothing, don't get scared about the naming conversion. So now after importing all those, yeah, remember when you are testing, you have to first deploy. So for me to deploy a smart contract, so for me to, when I want to test something, I have to first deploy it somewhere and test it as if it's live. To create a behavior whereby I'm like trying to deploy a smart contract, and then I have to first deploy it, but then I have to test the functions from it. Yeah? Please stay with me as we're soon completing in a few minutes. So then there is a deploy function. So this deploy function, it takes in the name of the of the smart contract, and it only returns us the contract address. The contract address means after the smart contract has been deployed and we have returned an address. So the deploy function, all it does is one thing. The deploy function is a standard function. We use it when we are testing. So there is also a default declare function. So this will be one you take keen note of. This will be one function which won't be changing. In case you want to deploy a smart contract, you shall be using it oftenly. So unwrapping means that when we declare, the unwrap function is gonna get us a lot of, it's going to return the contract address, and then it's going to return another thing, but we only need the contract class which gives us the contract address. So now that we have the contract class from which we are supposed to get the contract address, so we can just go ahead and do. Now we are only interested in the contract address. From what is returned from the contract class, we are only interested in the contract address. And to show that, to tell the compiler that we're not interested in others, we use an underscore. It's just like in Python. If I told you have a function which returns the name of a student and the age of a student, if I told I'm interested only in the name of the student, I will underscore. Underscore means I know it is returning, but don't give it to me. So that's what an underscore means here. So then after getting the address, now we want to deploy. This is, so when we are deploying, we deploy sort of like an array. So this is our general function. So then this interested in is the contract address. The contract address is what gives us like the location of the, it's what tells us that our smart contract has been deployed. And if at all you want to check it on, because in blockchain everything you can check it, yeah, you can, like everything that takes place you can get its signature, its hash signature. Yeah, you can trace its activity on the blockchain. Okay, now after doing this, my terminal, now my extension was, my IntelliSense was complaining, but now, so now let's go ahead and test our functions. So we want to test whether our set count method works and whether our get count method works. Guys, we are soon wrapping up. So for us to test, you have to add that, and then so you have to start with the test keyword, and then you can write it anyway, but as long as you start with the test keyword. And on doing that, so now here we first, because I said for us to test something, we are taking, and we think that as if it's live. That's how you can best test. If at all I've written an application, a DApp, I don't want to wait for users to first start using for me to test it. I have to create like a behavior, like as if my application is live, so that to test it. Then right here, deploy. So the name of my, so now this one is calling the deploy function, which we have written, which is this one, and deploy function takes in the name, and the name of my smart contract was called counter. So now we need a dispatcher. So all this that this function here does, it deploys the counter smart contract and get the contract address. Yeah, then we're gonna write another function. This one gets us an instance of the deployed contract counter contract. Yeah, in case you have any questions, you can raise them. So we are creating an instance of the counter contract which has been deployed. And guys, I said if at all you want to get any functionality, yeah, from the smart contract, is where dispatchers come in. So we are creating now an instance. We are creating an instance of our smart contract. Yeah. Now we want to first test by getting the initial value of the count from the storage. Remember guys, I told us that the storage is when every variable is put in the storage, it means it's like it's just like a similarity to where by you stored something in the database. So that's the same similarity here. So now I want to get my initial count, and I'm calling this counter dispatcher, and this dispatcher has created like an instance. And then the function which was helping me to get the current count was this function right here. It was this get count. So the only way I can be able to access this get count method is by using the dispatcher. So now, initially, yeah, when I was deploying it, did I deploy it with anything? Oh yeah, I was a bit confused. So this is a set count. So the set count lets us to add it's not, we are on the set count, not the get count method. So the set count enables us to add any amount. So I'm gonna explain this in a few minutes. I'm gonna explain this, guys. So that assert equals is used to test whether this initial count is the same as what I've. So this is my set count method, the test method. So all it's doing is that it's setting 10, yeah? All it's doing that is setting 10 as the initial count. Yeah, it's what it's adding to the, remember my count is a storage variable from here. Wow. Remember my count is a storage variable from here. So that's the set count method on testing. Yeah. All it's doing is it's setting 10 as the current count. So I don't want us to get confused about it. That's all it's doing. So counter dispatcher. So and then assert equals, it tests this whether what is on the left is equal to what is on the right. So after asserting that, then it comes, it has set here my site count, yeah, as 10. Then I come here and then I assert. So let the current count is equal to counter dispatcher, which is our counter dispatcher is right here. Yeah, and the counter dispatcher is helping me get the get count method. Yeah, so then after doing that, let me also write a test for getting the count. So I'm as well writing a test for getting my count. Yeah, and I remember telling you that you start by, because remember when you're writing a test, it has to be, you have to take a scenario whereby you had to first deploy the smart contract. So the test is just like whenever you're testing something, you are testing something as if it's live. Yeah, so for us to test the get count method, we have to first deploy our contract address, and then we are using the deploy counter. The counter is the name of the smart contract. Yeah, and then as well we are gonna create a dispatcher. We are gonna create a dispatcher right there. With a contract address. So now, because we are testing the get counter, the get count, so we are gonna add something here. So we are calling the counter dispatcher to give us the get count method. So then after getting that, we have to assert whether what we've gotten initially is 0. So that's it for our tests. So now after your test, yeah, after writing your test, the only last thing can be is, how do I test my tests? So the first thing to tell you that your tests are running well is, you have to, whenever you don't see any red highlight, that means I'm on the right track. Then the next thing can be to run your tests. So any questions at that moment? So that's a pretty easy way for us to write tests. So anything you need to ask, feel free to ask. Just unmute, or you can put it in a group chat. Yeah, but in case you want to follow, in case there is some bit where you didn't follow properly, this recording is gonna be available on our YouTube channel, so you can just go. The recording for the previous session is will be there this night, and then this very recording for this session 5 will be there tomorrow. So in case there's something that you haven't gotten properly, I urge us to go and check out from our YouTube channel. Yeah, thank you so much for your commitment. We have one more session to go, and that's going to take place tomorrow. The session for tomorrow is session 6, and we are going to see how we connect the front end to the back end. If at all I've written my smart contract, how do I connect it to a React front end that can make economic value, that it can give, so that it can make sense. You know, a user doesn't use a smart, they don't use the back end, they use the front end. So our session 6, which is the last session, is going to be about that. And it's a colleague from a friend of ours from Nigeria, from Blockheader, is the one who is gonna conduct the session. So let's be there tomorrow, 8 p.m. East Africa time.